hit record. Okay, so we're doing our next problem. And again, I'm going to do the minute hand first. So we just counted it by fives, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. And now we've got to do the hour hand, which is the 3. Now it's halfway. It's more than half past. So our hour hand is going to have to be halfway between the 3 and the 4. See, it's a little bit more complicated than it looked, isn't it? So we put our hour hand halfway between the 3 and the 4 because we're trying to learn how clocks work, and that really at every clock, it isn't going to show you the hour on the 3. It's going to be already halfway moving towards the 4. So now we're going to do the next one, and you can count with me. Of course, don't take off your microphone because we're recording, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to count by fives, 5, 10. So we know our long hand is going to be on the 2, like that. And then our short hand, which is the hour hand, is going to just be a little bit past the 4, like that. And I made that a little bit longer than I planned to. So I'll make that one a little bit longer. So anyway, so 4, 10. So our next one, let's go ahead and move downward a little bit. 6:25. So go ahead, count with me, but keep your microphones off. We're going to count 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So that's where our long hand is going to be. And if there we go, so we're going to go ahead and make our long hand at the 25. And again, our short hand, the hour hand, is going to be a little bit past the 6 because 25 minutes, that's almost half past. So we're going to make our hour hand almost halfway between the 6 and the 7. So let's go ahead and do just a couple more of these because again, if we're on a test and let's say we're on a test and I say the time is 3:55 and you go ahead and do your hour hand at the 3 and your minute hand at the 55, that's not going to be right. And you need to know this now. It has to be very close to the 4 in order for it to be correct. So keep that in mind because again, we're trying to show how clocks work, and unfortunately, that hour hand is going to be very close to the 4. It's not going to be anywhere near the 3. So let's go ahead. We're going to do 4:40 and you can count to yourself 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So our minute hand is going to be right at the 8. And again, our hour hand is not going to be on the 4. It's going to be more than halfway to the 5, like that. So it's going to be well past the 4, on its way to the 5, because again, our minute hand is heading very close to being 5 o'clock. It's 20 minutes to 5 right now. So finally, 6:55. We're going to go ahead and do the 55. Now we know up here is 60 because on the other clock we did on the first page of our homework, we know that the 12 marker is either 60 or it's 0. So we could count backwards from 60 and just jump right to 55. We don't have to count all the way around. We know that 5 less is 55. So we can go ahead and put our minute hand right on the 55. And then the 6, again, is going to be a little tricky because this is going to be super close to the 7. And we could almost mistake it for 7. That's how close it is. So 6:55, it's 5 minutes to 7. So that hour hand is going to be super close to 7. And of course, this last one, if this is doing it in reverse, it wants to know what time it is. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to count off 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So we're going to put our little snowman buttons there, right? Our colon, as they call it. But I think I'd love to give credit, but I can't say your name on a recording. I know who it was though. Anyway, very cool, BW. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and put 25 minutes. And then this is between the 7 and the 8, but it's not yet 8. So it's obviously 7:25. And then one more time here. It looks like if we read it up, if we looked at it, we could make a mistake and say, oh, it's 1:55 because it looks like it's close to the 1. But that's not what's happening there. We're going to put in our little snowman buttons, our colon, and we know it's at 55. It might even be 54, but we'll say 55 because we're telling time to the nearest 5 minutes. If you look at what our objective is. So it's got to be 55. And then of course it's between the 12 and the 1, but it's got to be 12. Can't be 1. So anyway, so we put 12:55. So that was this first page of homework. I'm going to pause the recording. Okay, so I've got the record button. So again, if you've got a question, raise your hand before you speak. Yes, what we do in school. so it shouldn't be a problem. It says draw the hour and minute hands on the clock to match the correct time. So I would first recommend that you do the minutes. So again, this is either 60 or 0, as we said there. So if we go back 5 minutes, that'll get us to 55. And then I can go ahead and make my long hand on the 55. And then of course it says 12:55, but because it's 5 minutes to 1, this minute hand is going to be super close to the 1. Like that, where it could even be almost mistaken for 1. And so like I said, if this is a test, and if you've got that hour hand right on the 12, it's wrong. And I'm just telling you that. So it's wrong because if I don't teach it to you correctly now, you're not going to be able to tell time in 8th grade. And I promise you, do I know 8th graders that can't read analog clocks? You bet I do. And it's sad. And I'm not saying they weren't taught right, but I'm saying that in their minds, they thought, oh, it's close enough. So close enough is not good enough because what it results in is 8th graders who can't read a clock. So anyway, so if that's what you want to be in life, you go ahead and ignore what I'm saying. But I'm telling you right now, you want to be able to read a clock. So anyway, 5:25. So once again, we're going to count off by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And here we are. We're going to make our minute hand, our long hand on the 25. And then of course, when we get to the 5 part, that's almost halfway to 6. So I'm going to go ahead and make my hour hand between the 5 and the 6. So check your papers and ask yourself, is this how I solve the problem? And if it's not how you solve the problem, then you might have to ask, well, what am I not doing? Did I not make my hour hand halfway in between? What did I do that was different? And so anyway, so I think they purposefully picked things that were close or halfway to put us in the position where we could see the difference there. So for our homework, you're going to do something very close to what we did for our first activity, which is counting by 5s on the clock face, counting by 5s, filling in the missing numbers. And then of course here, you're going to have to fill in the times on the homework, just like we did in the practice time. And of course, say what time it is. So they're kind of flipping back and forth so that you'll be able to do that. And of course, then you'll be done with math, just like we are now.